Hello everyone. Now today's video is going to be a little bit shorter than usual, I think, because it isn't the most complicated DIY in the world. I wanted to make a bauble for my cat Rory using one of these clear baubles I got, and I wanted to fill it with some of his favourite treats. I thought it would be nice to crack it open on Christmas Day for him. Now I didn't want it to just be that though, I wanted to identify it as his in some way, and I had this idea of getting his paw print onto some clay and attaching that to the bauble. I chose to use some paper clay as it looks and smells a lot like his cat litter, so winning endorsement there for the clay. And also it's very soft, so I wouldn't really have to push his paw into it that hard to get a clear imprint, or I was hoping I wouldn't have to. As it's paper clay, I just added some water to make it soft and wet, and then I used a plastic clay tool to roll it out like a rolling pin. A pen would have worked just as well. As you can see, Rory was a more than willing participant in all of this. Oh god. I thought, okay, that if I position his paw above the clay and then I try to hug him, he will recoil into the table and thereby push his paw into the clay. I think it worked a little bit too well because, as you can see, it stuck onto his paw as he ran away. And then I had to go after him and grab it and bring it back. I mean, the print was there, so, you know, mission accomplished, really. Just looking back at the footage, though, it's something like, where's the clay gone? Anyway, I used my clay tools to push the indents of the print in further to the clay, and once I was happy with that print, I used a flat clay tool, basically a blunt knife, to chop the excess clay away and make a rough circle. I also made a little circular hole above the print so I can tie it onto the clear bauble once it's all dry. And again, I just wet my finger and rubbed it along the edge of the clay just to tidy up any of the rough parts. As it's paper clay and it takes about a day or so to fully dry, I tried to speed up the process by putting it in the oven for a few minutes. Then, obviously I forgot about it and melted half an acrylic bauble in the oven. Luckily, no fire alarms went off. To be honest, thinking about it, that's a little bit of a worry, but anyway, once I aired out the kitchen of plastic fumes and waited a day, it was actually ready to be finished off. So yeah, wouldn't recommend the oven. I put a thin layer of white acrylic paint all over the charm to make the colour a little bit less dull and grey. I was umming and ahhing over whether I wanted to paint the paw print, but in the end I did. I blended this muted orange to match Rory's fur, and I added his name on the back. Again, I wasn't sure whether I wanted to put a date on it. I think it would have been nice if it was his first Christmas, but it's his third Christmas, and I guess I could have put his birthday, but then it just feels a bit like, I don't know, like an epitaph, like a grave or something, so I left it with a little kiss instead. I then planted some orange embroidery thread onto the clay just to give it a little bit of a stronger thread to hold onto the clear bauble, and then I attached that and another length of embroidery thread, which I tied a knot in so that I can hang it onto the tree. The clear bauble slots together, but it is quite loose. I imagine if you're going to make something that's going to stay in there forever, you could just glue the edge of both baubles, but as I wanted to crack this apart on Christmas Day, I just used a bit of clear tape instead. I felt a little sorry on Rory, making him have to go around with clay on his paw and then subsequently having to wash his paw, so I gave him a few treats early just to keep him sweet. My hope was to have this hanging on the tree, but in the time I was able to take a picture, he was already jumping up trying to knock it onto the floor, so it's in the cupboard right now and I think I'll bring it out on Christmas Day. Just off topic a little bit, I found these liquid meat treat things in Tesco, and I've seen them before on like J-vloggers videos, people like Charlotte in Japan, and I've never seen them over here, and I've always wanted to see if Rory liked them the way that like Maru likes them, so I cracked one open for him today just as a treat, and it seems like it was a big success. I mean, I was contemplating only giving him half the tube, but it was clear that wasn't going to happen. To be honest, the fusion of Rory's breath with this stinky meat fruit was really rank. I think you really have to love your cat to feed them this. It's pretty grim. I think overall, I think this was a pretty nice and simple DIY. I've seen these little gift sets and stockings for dogs before, but I can't really think of ever seeing one for a cat or any other smaller pet like a bunny or a guinea pig or a lizard, I guess. Even though, I mean, what would you put in a lizard's one? Like a live locust? It'd be like bush tucker trowel Christmas. But anyway, because these aren't really common unless you have a dog, I thought this would be a nice DIY for your pets, even though it might only be able to be hung on your tree for a couple of hours on Christmas Day. I hope you're all doing well and that you enjoyed today's video. I'll see you again tomorrow.